Karada mo tatari mo, rin naktay mo muli amon.
Hagi, oo, balita. Uy, ikaw ngayon, Junabel, sana ko man mauli na takloban?
Hagi, di ka ni maaram kay kadadaman ako ng heremonya sa eskwelahan.
Siya. Anay, speaking of takloban, ano nung duman niyohan koan? Di ba nahinabuhan koan? Typhoon Yolanda?
Ay, oo, ti. Hagi, mang kay iya na to, ano, kano to,
2013 na
2013. Ay, oo.
Hagi, kadadaman ko na ito nagkamatay takloban.
Ang siya nga ni, grabe to, traumatizing.
Pero, in fairness koan, naging center to I mean, nagdamo baan koan mga movies or films na naging inspired ko na nung nahinabuhi ito nga koan.
An kuan nga nito, di ba, kan Daniel Padilla, may ito movie nga gin-release ka, kano, yan nga to, ito nga.
Oo, tas may dama usa,
May napausa.
Nora Honor.
Oo,
Ano
nakita
ba?
ka na to?
Waray pa, may nangay niton?
Grabe, taga
Kaya magkita.
tama ka
Di
na.
ba, di ba nga niya kan Nora Honor, promise, ka po magkita.
Waray pa talaga.
Ano pa itong, kuan?
Koan,
Nora Honor?
taklob.
Ay, oo, taklo.
Yan
Ay,
nga 2015.
Di man may dakat to. Dinhegin save ko. Ini nga
Sige daw.
taklo. About inihan, mga naging biktima, han Typhoon Yolanda, tas kung paano hira namuhay after han typhoon.
Yes.
So, adikit
Sige
eh.
na.
Good day everyone, I'm Ivel Digasa from Samar State University, and today our group is going to present about that contemporary film entitled Taklob. But before we start our discussion, allow me to introduce the author and the director of this film. So the author of this film is Hanilyn Joy Alipio. She is a Filipino writer, screenplay, and producer. She is known for Mindanao 2019, Trap 2015, and Duket 2019. The director, Brillante Mendoza. So Brillante Dante Mendoza was born on July 30, 1960. He is a Filipino independent director and filmmaker. Mendoza is known one of the key members associated with the Filipino New Wave. He is the first Filipino to receive the Best Director Award at Cannes for his film Kinatay in 2009. He is also the only Filipino to receive Francis Knight of the Order of Arts and Letters in 2014. Now, let us show you the thriller of the film Taklob.
Amiga yun mo sayaw, lagi mo sayaw.
Chi! Chi! Chi!
Wag
Now, let's proceed to the synopsis of the film. So the Globe is a story of three major characters, Bibeth, Larry, and Erwin, whose lives intertwine after Super Typhoon Haiyan left the city of Tacloban in a horrendous state. They search for the dead while trying desperately to keep their sanity intact and to protect what little faith they have. Next are the characters of the film. So Nora Honor as Bibeth. She is a mother dealing with the death of three children. Julio Diaz as Larry, a pedicab driver who regularly participates in all church activities, begins to question his faith amidst all the suffering. Lou Velasco as Renato, a husband who has lost his wife and children, and Aaron Rivera as Erwin, who does almost everything to provide shelter to what remains of his family. The film happened in Tacloban, San Jose on September 16, 2015. The conflict. The conflict of the film is man versus nature. So this film explored the stress, poverty, and misfortune. The characters are suffering from the harsh realities in our society. Next is man versus self, because the characters in this film are suffering from the loss of their loved ones. They are dealing on how they will be able to accept the heinous happening that happened to them. The symbolism in the film is suffering and despair, faith, and trust. The theme is resiliency, because this film tells us to be resilient at all costs. It elucidates that we need to stand still and learn to get up again from the heinous situation we are in.
As we have heard earlier the literary piece, author, and other important details of the story, now allow me to share the contemporary event that inspired the piece. Tacloban captures the post-Typhoon Haiyan Hurricane Yolanda reality on November 8, 2013 in the hardest-hit city of Tacloban, Leyte in the Philippines. Typhoon Haiyan, known in the Philippines as Super Typhoon Yolanda, was one of the most powerful tropical cyclones ever recorded. According to research, the official Yolanda death count was 6,300 with 5,902 recorded in the eastern Visayas region, but there are also some who are missing. On making landfall, Haiyan devastated portions of Southeast Asia, particularly the Philippines. The typhoon, which damaged 1.14 million houses in 2013, triggered the evacuation of more than 1 million families, or about 5.13 million individuals, at the height of the onslaught. The total cost of damage was placed at 95.5 billion pesos.
Tacloban centers on the survivors in the aftermath of Super Typhoon Haiyan that devastated the central part of the Philippines, especially Tacloban, Leyte, and how they picked up their lives after the typhoon. The surroundings in the film was very realistic, as people were busy lining up for relief goods and processing their papers for shelter. There were pictures on poster of missing people in walls and boards. The language used by Taclobanons were waray-waray. In the film, the faces of victims of Haiyan typhoon were disheartened, as they just faced a very terrible catastrophe that have killed thousands of people, including their families. It was shown that despite losing their loved ones, they were still trying their best to relive their lives, as everyone experiences the same thing: hunger, lack of clothes and home, and loss. In the beginning of the film, Renato's family was killed by the fire. At that time, there was no electricity because of the said typhoon, so people were using gasera at night. Renato's family's tent caught the fire from the gasera and were stuck inside their tent. In real life, these things truly happened, just with different people and different settings. It was also depicted in the film the poor way that the government handled the situation. There were rivalry and snatching of relief goods. The help and support that were needed by the people were very slow to arrive. That's why some of them were frustrated. But in the end, they still wait and be complacent because that is all that they can do.